Mr. Beatty here. Welcome to LCM Word Problems. Today we're going to look at the LCM, or the least common multiple. We're going to look at it in word problem form. We're also going to review a GCF word problem. GCF means greatest common factor. So, as you can recall, the multiples of a number are that number times each number. So if it's 6 times 1 is a multiple, 6 times 2 is a multiple, 6 times 3, 6 times 4, 6 times 5, and so on are all multiples. Greatest common factor are the factors. That is the two numbers that multiply together to give you the number that we're looking for the factors for. So, let's begin. I have a sheet of least common multiple word problems pulled up, and I'm going to read to you the first problem. At the gym, Hillary swims every 6 days, runs every 4 days, and cycles every 16 days. If she did all three activities today, and how many days will she do all three activities again on the same day? So usually when the last sentence says something about the same day or the same time or same anything, it's talking about LCM. Now we also know that this worksheet is about LCM and GCF word problems. And the GCF word problem had the word greatest in the final sentence. That's how we knew they were GCF. So every other word problem on that sentence is LCM. So that's another way to remember it. Probably not the best way, but it'll help you out if you need to remember it that way. So when we find the LCM of three numbers, 6, 4, and 16, as you can see here, we had to list the multiples of each number. So the multiples of 4 are 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, as you can see. 4 times 1 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 4 times 3 is 12, 4 times 4 is 16, 4 times 5 is 20, and so on and so on. So we also need to find the multiples of 6. 6 times 1 is 6, 6 times 2 is 12, 6 times 3 is 18, 6 times 4 is 24, 6 times 5 is 30, and so on from there. Now 16, when you have a double digit number, sometimes it's a little more difficult. So we have a few strategies from here. So 16 times 1 is 16. We all know anything times 1 is the bigger number. So we can add 16 from here. That would be a repeated addition. 16 plus 16 is 32. And also 16 times 2 is 32. Or we can just multiply that number times 16. So 16 times 1 is 16, 16 times 2 is 32, 16 times 3 is 48, 16 times 4 is 64, 16 times 5 is 80, and so on from there. So we're looking for the lowest number that they have in common. Now, when we're dealing with three numbers, we have to find the lowest number that all three of those numbers have in common. So here, 4 and 6 have 12 in common. But we can't use that because 16 doesn't have 12 anywhere in its multiples. So we're going to mark 12 out. Now, the next number 4 and 6 have in common is 24. But 16 doesn't have that. So we've got to mark 24 out. Now, the next number that they have in common is 36. But once again, 16 doesn't have that. So we've got to mark 36 out. And as you can see, the criteria for the least common multiple of 3 numbers is a little tough to get to. But I have a feeling that we're fixing to get to it. So as you can see, 4 has 48, 6 has 48, and 16 has 48. So they all 3 have 48 in common. So that means 48 is our least common multiple. Now, how would we put that in our sentence to answer the question? So the question is just the last part. If Hillary, did all 3 activities today, and how many days will she do all 3 activities again? So all we got to do is rephrase that question to make it a sentence. She will do all 3 activities again in 48 days. So that's how we answer the question. That's a perfect answer. Don't just put 48. Rephrase the question, make it a sentence, and answer it that way. And I promise you'll get maximum points and you'll impress your teacher. Alright, so let's refresh our memory with the GCF word problem. So once again, GCF stands for greatest common factor. Oscar needs to ship 14 rock CDs, 12 classical CDs, and 8 pop CDs. He can pack only one type of CD in each box, and he must pack the same number of CDs in each box. What is the greatest number of CDs Oscar can pack in each box? So, this means we need to find the greatest common factor of our numbers 14, 12, and 8. And we know it's greatest common factor because in the last sentence it says, what is the greatest number of CDs Oscar can pack in each box? So the problem gives you a hint into how to solve it. So every number has automatically 1 as a factor. So 1 times what is 14? 1 times 14 is 14. Alright. Now 14's even, so that means it has 2 as a factor. 2 times what is 14? 2 times 7 is 14. Okay, so now we try the rest. 3 doesn't work, 4 doesn't work, 5 doesn't work, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 doesn't work. So we go on to the next one. Now every number has what is a factor? 1. So the factors of 12 are 1 and 12. 12's even, so it has 2 as a factor. 2 times what is 12? 2 times 6 is 12. And then there's one more. 3. 3 times what is 12? 3 times 4 is 12. Right. Good job, guys. Alright, so now we do 8. Every number has 1 as a factor. So 1, and 1 times what is 8? 1 times 8 is 8. Now 8 is even, so we know it has 2 as a factor. 2 times what is 8? 2 times 4 is 8. Alright, so now we've listed all of our factors of 14, 12, and 8. as you can see at the bottom there. Now, what we're going to try to do, we're going to find the greatest common factor, which is going to be pretty easy because really they all just have one number in common. And that number that they have in common is 2. Once again, we have 3 numbers here. 12 and 8 have 4 in common, but 14 doesn't. So we know 4 can't be the answer. But all 3 of them have 2 in common. So 2 is our greatest common factor. Now, what does that look like in the problem? So we're just going to rephrase the question. What is the greatest number of CDs Oscar can pack in each box? Oscar can pack 2 CDs in each box. So that means he can do a rock and a classical. He can do a classical and a pop. He can do a rock and a pop. But he can only put 2 CDs in each box. Alright, so that's a review of GCF word problems, the introduction to LCM word problems, and next time we'll begin a different topic. So to everybody out there, stay safe. Peace.